My name is Adele Bernard, and I'm a change advocate. My company is Transition Clarity, and I'm about to be on the Online Prosperity Show. And I want you to join us on this little journey through my life from the age of 3, how I understood that I had gifts beyond what everyone else would understand, and how I hold space for you to transition, and doesn't mean die. Just transition through your life to a better life by turning your light on like nobody else can. So you can shine your light with your unique gifts to the world and have a better life because it's all about connection, love, and community. Thank you.
Now, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and I want to tell you, this is your go-to destination for exclusive insights into personal growth, business innovation, and transformational journeys. Now, today we're going to be diving into the world of transitions with none other than Adele Bernard, the founder of Transition Clarity. Now, Adele, how are you doing this day?
Okay, doing good. And thank you for inviting me to the show.
Absolutely. Well, the pleasure is all mine. And for those that are meeting Adele for the very first time, she is aptly known as the transition whisperer. Now, she is a transition mentor who's based in Calgary, and she's guiding individuals worldwide to really align their energy, release stagnation, and discover their authentic selves. So she embraces astrology, ancient wisdom, and intuitive insights. And she also helps clients to reconnect with their hearts and embody their lives that they were meant to live. So a lot of us just wake up, show up, and don't quite know. There's a lot, happening behind the scenes. And that's the reason why we've got Adele on the show today. So in this episode, we're going to be exploring her unique approach to navigating life's transitions and also the career changes that she would have gone through, and also her personal transformations that have made her to be the person she is today. So we're going to be exploring all these past experiences, current work, the clientele she works with, what methods she uses, and the service she provides. Plus, there's actually an interesting fact about her that will actually make you feel like you're part of this journey. So, as you listen, I just want you to have a think about maybe when you actually faced a significant transition, and I want you to consider, or think, or maybe take note in the comments below. What helped you through this transition? And just share these comments below so we can actually start to create a space where we can learn from each other's experiences. Now, Adele, I could go on and talk about things that I'm not even qualified to talk about. When I was looking at your file and when you were your information was coming through, I heard you started doing this transition since you were 3 years old. Now, I don't know how that is possible, but some of us were actually just really trying to figure out how to say dada and mama. Can you maybe share with us your childhood memory that then got you on the path that you're on right now?
So, um, I didn't realize at 3 that this was happening, but I also know when I look back at my life, I was a late bloomer um, for talking, and I didn't realize that you had to actually use your physical voice to be heard because I was talking to all my other friends, the fairies, the masters, God. And so it wasn't until later that I was like, oh, I have a voice. And I started, instead of speaking in words, it was like full on sentences because I was listening. I was always listening. And I knew from a really young age that basements were dangerous, dark rooms kids didn't go in. And then again, I didn't realize until I started working with clients. That's where sexual abuse happened. And so, and, I mean, was it a gift? Sure. Also a curse because puberty's hard enough on its own. Add in that you see things, you hear things, you feel things before anyone has anything happening, right? And so a lot of the times, like a friend would say, "Oh, I want to date this boy. I want to date this girl." And I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Your choice, but you're making your bed, right?" Because I would see all these other things that would say, "This is like crazy if they ever got together." Not understanding the karma that is at play because I wasn't fully integrated into the gift like I am today. And so, yeah, you might have that girlfriend or boyfriend in junior high or high school that you're like madly in love with, and then wonder why you're sitting on the side of the street because he just wasn't into you. And it was just that whatever you came together for that karmic reunion, when it was done, right? And so it makes it hard for people to understand that, but it also made it for me quite interesting because all I ever wanted, I didn't want a career. I just wanted to be married and have kids. And that wasn't an option because God kept on telling me, I have plans for you. And here we are today.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, Adele, for taking us through that, start to your journey. Now, obviously, your parents and the people,
Mhm.
all older people around you, would they have noticed this aspect of you while you were growing up, or did they actually try and put you through some sort of tests and medication just to see if everything was a-okay?
Um, well, as a child, I was very clumsy. So my mom was brought in and questioned to if she was abusing me
Right.
because if there's a door to walk into, I found it. If there's stairs to walk, like fall down, I did it probably till I was well into my 20s. And so, yeah, I was in the ER quite a bit. But
Mm,
all it was I didn't know that I wasn't grounded in my body.
absolutely,
I was
and
literally playing with the fairies and not realizing I had to come back into this earthly body. So I'd see the top of the stairs and be at the bottom going, dang it. Right? So it
mm,
was very hard on my physical body because I just didn't realize I had to keep it with me. And so
fantastic.
later on, to help, or whether help or hurt, I'm not sure. I ended up, you know, having eating disorders because I would eat to try get the weight so it'd stay in my body. But that wasn't right either. It just made the falls harder.
Right.
So,
So, so
yeah.
with what you're saying,
Mhm.
you've described it as you didn't realize you had a physical voice at that particular time.
As a young child, I didn't know. Well, I like in some ways I feel I'm just starting to find my voice even now as an adult because it was easier to be in the room and say nothing because people weren't wanting or ready to hear what I had to say. And so and the actual time that I realized this the most was when we went into the pandemic because everyone went into the fear of it and I was just like there's no fear. We needed to do this as a world to wake up consciousness. because we're in a time that we've never been before. So now, if you're into the astrology of things, the age of Aquarius wasn't just a song in the 60s. It's actually, as of November 20th, 2024, we've moved into the age of Aquarius. We've moved from the Pisces sign to the Aquarian sign. And for your listeners, that only happens every 26,000 years, right? So you think about anyone who has a body at this time has been around a long time. Believe in reincarnation or not, it doesn't matter. You were chosen to be here because you could handle the shift. And more importantly, now that we're in the age of Aquarius, the shift is about the feminine rising in both female and male. It is bringing the human body back into balance. And this happens every time we have a revolution, like um, like after the war had happened, after you know we found the wheel, like after like I can't, I'm having a brain fart to um, what all those revolutions, but we have that. So now we're in the rising of the feminine for the next 20 years, right? And I noticed in when you're doing the intro, you have an old intro, and that's totally fine. I change it weekly, I think. Right now, I'm more of a change advocate because the change is here, and I'm looking to help people who are ready to shift because we are being called forward to a bigger stage to shine our light like nobody else can. And so when I work with people now, and primarily men, because they've been ostracized by women, they're scared to say that they have feelings. There's no way they're crying. And I'm like, I'm a safe place to fall, right? Because even in corporate, I'd be going for coffee, going for lunches with the men. How do I talk to my wife? How do I get my son to understand? Right? How do I build a better relationship? And I'm saying you have to become humble and tap into your heart. And that's why my signature program is Walking You Home, because it's walking you home to who you are authentically supposed to be in this life. It's making sure you have turned on your light in your heart so the tunnel is never dark. The the tunnel is only dark because we have forgotten to turn on our own light.
Hmm.
So that's a lot.
I know,
What do you have to say?
and thank you so much for taking us through that. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, I just wanted us to go back a little bit just so that we can breach the time from when you obviously were growing up and what that would have looked like to the onlookers, okay? Because you did mention obviously the teachers and authorities would look at that and obviously question, your mother's motherhood and things like that. But what was the environment like that would have made that possible within a household? I mean, was there anyone within the family who also had that gift, as you have mentioned that, or was that just given to you?
Um, no, my sister and I are both kind of intuitive. I think I'm more intuitive than she is. Um, Not that it's more or less, it's just I've harnessed it more. Um, I also spent a lot of time alone.
Mhm.
I also spent a lot of time with my animals, and animals are the biggest, greatest teachers anyone can have. And I was also super, super independent. So as a 12-year-old, if I wanted to do something, I just went, see ya, got on the bus and went across town. Like I didn't worry about it. If I was going to my horse, I just went. Like I didn't, um, so I was also very aware and very mature all my life. So much so, like if we were in our later years, like if we were gonna go to a party or whatever, and my friend's mom would be going, "No, you're not going." Well, why not? And then she'd say, "If Adele's going, I'll let you go." If I wasn't going, she wasn't allowed because she knew I'd always get her home. And that put a lot of responsibility on me as a teenager. So, you know, it it was pressure, but then I also knew I could handle it. So my time to play and have fun kind of thing was when we got dumped out camping because no one had to drive. We weren't going anywhere unless it was on horseback. Like, and we still got into trouble, but whatever. That's a different story. But I mean, it was like, oh, like now I can relax because I get to sit around the campfire and just chill. I don't have
Mm.
to worry about driving. I don't have to worry about getting anyone home. I don't have to worry about icy roads. Yeah.
So you mentioned a statement, which is, I did not feel grounded in my body.
hmm
And I wanted us to maybe just touch up on that a little bit. Where was Adele and where was her body and what was happening?
So when you get into working with the energetic world, you tend to hover above your heart and in the crown area. So your energetic body is beside you, but it's not in your body, right? And um and so I was like kind of walking beside myself, if that makes sense. It's like when you're walking in the and you have the sun behind you and you see your shadow ahead of you. Well, that was like my body was walking and then my soul was walking ahead of me. And so it wasn't until like later in life that I really started getting into meditation and sitting in the forest with the trees. And I don't know where I'd be if I didn't have my animals as a kid because they grounded me. Because when you're playing with animals or even little kids, if you're not present, they'll leave. My grandniece does it all the time. She's 5 and she'll be like, we'll be playing and then I'll start, my mind will start going somewhere else. I have to do this for work or I have to whatever, check in with this client. And she'll get up and leave. And I'm like, where are you going? I'll come back when you're back. And I'm like, I'm right here. No, you're not. And I laugh at it now because she gets me every time. I've zipped off to work or I've zipped off something. And so parents have to be very aware.
No,
If you think you,
were your parents aware of this? Because I'm just really trying to see,
my
you know,
grandmother was,
okay.
and she lived with us on and off for many, many years. Um, my parents were to a point, they understand more now than they ever did. Yet there was times like, say I was going out and I wasn't driving, and as I'm leaving the door, my dad would say, "Call if you need a ride." I'm like, "Okay." And I didn't know why he was saying that. In hindsight, he was picking up that I was going to need a ride, that the person who was picking me up wasn't bringing me home. So, yeah. And I also know I couldn't be who I am if I didn't have my parents. Because I see it in my friends and their kids and grandkids. Their kids and grandkids couldn't be spiritually awakened or intuitive if grandma didn't start it. right?
Mm.
It's just like some people are destined to go to college because there are a long line of people that went to college, or a long line of people who went to the army, or a long that wasn't part of my family. My family was intuitive and business owners. Just a
Mm.
different path.
Absolutely, absolutely. And talking
Mhm,
about college and things of that nature, you did mention that as you were growing up as a teenager, you would
mhm,
spot hazards or things that could happen in other people's relationships way before they could
mhm,
particularly happen. Could you maybe
mhm.
point to an instance where maybe somebody did not listen and something would have happened
Oh,
if
most of them didn't listen because because and I mean even I would say like I don't think I would have listened to me either.
mm,
They'd be like, "Oh, where are you coming up with that?" And I go, "I don't know. It's just a feeling." And they said, "Ah, feeling, whatever. It's just you talking," right? Because they didn't understand, and I couldn't explain it.
and what did that do to the relationships that you now had yourself?
I shut down the gift a lot.
Okay.
I was very cautious when I spoke. Um, and even to this day, like this one friend that's been through it all, she'd be like, "Talk to me straight. Don't give me this woo-woo stuff." I'm like, I I'm just me. I just talk. Like,
Okay.
if you think it's woo-woo, then it's woo-woo. It's just me.
So by
And
shutting,
this is yeah, sorry, but this is where I'm reaching out to the men
mm,
because they're in business and they go, "Well, I just made that decision." I said, "No, well, your gut told you make that decision. That intuition that you deny told you to make that decision." And I want them to feel safe to go, "I want to dabble in the woo-woo." I'm like, "Come on over." Because I want you men to feel safe, to share what's on your heart, to say, "I'm scared, I'm lonely," right? "I don't have anyone to talk to. My wife doesn't understand."
this sort of started when your colleagues would share these sort of insights over coffee, right? Within,
Well, and
at the break.
but even as teenagers, like I hung out with the guys and they'd say, "What's going on with Sally?" And I go, "I don't know." "Well, you're a girl." I just look like them. I'm not a girl. Like they make no sense to me.
In what sort of jobs did you end up doing that
Oh,
obviously?
I was in oil and gas. I'm Calgary's oil and gas. Like we're called Baby Houston. So right in the thick, the heavy, masculine, and I'd be like, this isn't working for me.
Hmm,
And so I'd like make them have um I'd put it on their phones that they had to do breathing exercises every hour. "Can we take it off our phone?" "Nope, not until you guys all start calming down and working with me." And they're like, "What?" And I go, "Nope." Because I had to work with them. So it had to be conducive to me, right? And then even our suppliers would know like I was the light of the team. And so instead of the gifts going to the VP, which they always usually do, they started putting the gifts to me and I got to choose if I shared them with the team. Because they knew if they came to me, things got done. And
hmm,
so yeah, like it's just and it's also here's one example. I had a friend who's getting married. My gut was saying, absolutely not. They cannot get married.
oh wow.
And I liked them both separately. I didn't like them together. For whatever reason, I don't know. And so I just didn't go to the wedding. And they go, "Why didn't you come to their wedding?" And I said, I couldn't. I couldn't celebrate in this union because I didn't believe in it.
Where is this couple now?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Right?
Mm.
And then I even a friend just the other day, like we were talking, I've known her for many, many years, and she said something about a mutual person, a gentleman that we both know, and all of a sudden I had this like shiver down my spine of he wasn't appropriate with her. And she kind of let it slip like the other night after 20 years of friendship.
Now, is there a moral obligation given the gift that you have? I mean, obviously, when people are getting married, there's that part where they say if there's anyone that feels like these two should not come into communion and whatever it is that they do. I know there's a part like that. I don't know if they do that in your
Hmm.
area,
Hmm.
but is there a moral obligation on your part given the gift and you can see this for you to stand up and be the one that says, I don't see this?
I've,
Or have
other
you ever
than
done
that
that?
one, no, I've never done it. Other than the one wedding I just didn't go to, I've never felt to say anything.
Mm,
Um, Yet that doesn't mean um, that I just tied my tongue and watch what happens. Like I've done that too. Like, people get married and I'm like, I don't see it happening. But what, it didn't work after 25 years. It worked for 25, kinda. I don't know. Who am I to say? I don't I can get this feeling and I can get the sense, but I don't always get shown the karmic contract that you have with each other.
mm,
Like I have another friend who married her best friend. They had kids because all their friends were having kids, and then when they split up, they were having a laugh because they couldn't find the marriage certificate so they could get divorced. And so they both started laughing. Did we get married? Are we sure we got married? And went and had a beer. They were still best friends. They they came to the decision we were never supposed to be married, but they'll never not have their kids. They got married, had their kids, and then broke up.
mm. So,
Right?
a lot, I mean, obviously, this is part of the interactions that you have, with other
Hmm.
humans and things of that nature. But let's go to something that affected everyone, which was the pandemic. And you did
Hmm.
mention that it is something that we needed to go through
Hmm.
in terms of the shift that is now
Hmm.
about to start happening. Could you maybe, in your own words, state why you would say this is something we had to go through?
So, as a society, like I said, we're in the biggest shift. So,
Mhm.
from 2025 to 2027 is the grassroots figuring out where people stand as a nation, as a world, right? Um, we also can look at the political stance of the world. We had more elections in 24, 25 than at any time in government history.
It does seem
And we're
like
like,
every
huh.
country is.
Yeah, yeah, right? So we're going, out of all these countries, I think there's 61 elections,
Mm.
like country elections. And we're like, huh, that's a lot. But it is also shifting up, right? So it's all in preparing for the whole shift of our human body. Our organs are shifting, everything's changing places. The heart will come more into the center, right? Kids aren't being born with appendix because they don't know why we had them other than that they burst. So kids just aren't even getting them, right? Um, so all this like biological stuff is happening, and And astrologically, if you go back to World War I, after all the gases or whatever, was the same astrological um, imprint in the sky that people are dying of the the gases that they played in the war as our first COVID, and it just expanded. And I also say it's a wake up to everybody. We've been poisoned for many, many years by our government. This is not political. This is not on the way, whatever. It's just facts, right? Our food has been tampered with, our water's been tampered with. And no one said it better than Dr. Reverend Bernard when he says, no time in history have the sick and the unsick been locked up together. And I
And that
was like,
happened in the pandemic.
what? Yeah, right? And he's the one that goes, I can't get leprosy by walking through a room with people with leprosy. But they're all like, you got to be careful. He goes, I can't get it. I am healthy. And when he said that, I was like, chills down my spine because we have to be aware and awake. And you look at like all the floods happening and all the fires happening, and you're going, well, what is this happening for? Because we haven't been kind to the earth. And Mother Nature's saying, hello, wake up. And you're in Australia, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
There's talk of why are the barrier reefs dying? Because everyone puts poison on their skin to go swim, called sunscreen. The barrier reefs say this is toxic. We don't know what to do with it. How do we resolve it? So they die. Until we stop with all the toxins, we're going to lose our nature. But
Mm.
Mother Earth is looking after herself. We might not understand what she's doing, but I trust she's looking after herself. And when I go and I spend time in the trees and I sit and hug my trees and they give me messages, because the trees were the first internet,
The roots interlocking in the ground and communicating through that. Hmm.
right? Because you think if a tree is 10 feet tall, the roots have to be 10 feet deep. They can only grow as tall as the roots have gone deep. And if you think about a tree lasting 100 years, it lasts 10 times longer fallen. And you go, well, that can't be true. It is true. Because once it's fallen, then the other animals come eat off the bark, the mosses grow, the insects live, this, they have way more home on the ground than they do in the sky.
That's a whole
And
different
so,
way of looking at it.
yeah. And so when you think about that and you go, well, why are these fires? Well, some say the LA fires and the floods in Dubai was we're shifting the money. The money of the world is too concentrated. I don't know. That's an interesting theory, right?
But obviously we can control what we can control. And one of the things that you mentioned was, you when you are doing what you're doing, your grand niece sort of checks out when you check out.
No, yeah,
And
she has no time for me.
I think that is a very interesting aspect of where we live in life right now. So we really need to be present in order for us to
Well,
see what it is that's happening around us. So what sort of practices do you recommend for somebody who is
well,
struggling to?
I just want to just expand that a little bit further. Is not
Yes.
only are we asked to be present, we're asked to let whatever's happening outside of us be a movie. And it's all about coming inward. The work now in Aquarius is coming home to your heart, to you. Who are you, regardless of race, gender, political views, educated, not educated, right? What gifts are you here to share to the world that nobody before you and nobody after you can share? Only you can share these. So the age of Aquarius is all about love, community, kindness, compassion.
Mm.
And those can't happen if you're out there. They happen in here. So, what do I do to stay grounded, to make sure I'm present? I do breath work every day. I do meditation. I do automatic writing. I do tapping sequences, the thought field therapy. Um, and I have conversations with God and my team to say, what are we doing today? I mean, even as much as I walk out the door to go for a walk, I'm like, okay, team, where are we going? Right?
And by
I say,
team, this is still the,
like God, like my team, my guides who are with me at all times.
is that still the same team from age 3?
Mhm. Maybe some have come and gone, but mostly the same. Well, God's always been with me. Because since I was 5, I said I want to come home, and he goes, "But you asked to come." I go, "I did not ask to come to this crazy world. Nope, take me home." He goes, "Nope, you asked to come." And then he told me for 40 years later, "It's not your time to shine." I'm like, "Then why am I here?" Because I had to wait for the age of Aquarius. I had to wait for the men to say I'm ready to work, and I'm like, "You guys are funny."
So obviously, with all of this, you
Hmm.
did mention now is the time to go inward, which obviously
Hmm.
becomes the transition that so many people are lacking.
Hmm.
Whereas the world has taught us to look at external validation, your school, your accolades, your awards, everything else that is
Hmm.
external to
But
who
that's
you
all
are.
masculine. That's
Have
all
you,
masculine.
obviously, with the work that you do, you've had to experience people coming back home, like you say.
Hmm.
What's can you describe what that transformation is like for others? Because obviously, fish don't
Well,
see the water they swim in.
my biggest thing is from the people I work with is I scare them a little bit for how well I see them because they've never been seen in their life before. And so I say, like, whether it's on Zoom, person to person, it doesn't matter. I see your soul and who you are supposed to be in this world. And I'm here to help anyone who's ready to take that journey. I'm not here to tell you to marry or not marry or to take that job or not take that job. I'm here to say, when you are in your true, authentic self and you're listening to your heart and your gut, and it says, this is the job for me, awesome, go apply. And if it doesn't align, it's okay. Something bigger and better is coming for you. It's when we get tripped up in the, oh, I got that red light. And why'd that guy cut me off? And you just, by the end of the day, you're spiraling and you're like, well, nothing's good in this world. You create everything, good, bad, or indifferent. So if you miss that red light, Say thank you. Because maybe you didn't get in an accident. Maybe a dog didn't run out in front of your car. You don't know. Say thank you. Thanks for slowing me down. Was I being present? Because I know every one of us that drive a car have had those days that you got home and you don't know if you hit a red light or not. And I actually worked with a gentleman. His wife threatened to divorce him. I said, "Why? I thought you had a good relationship." He says, "Because I come home with work still on me." So she says, "Either you're changing jobs to be further away, or we're moving houses, or we're divorcing. Because this who comes home isn't good for me and our kids." So they moved. So he had a longer commute. So he could get his workday off before he came in to be dad, husband, family guy. And I thought, kudos to her for calling it, right? It's not like she wanted a divorce, but she didn't want that work guy coming home and being angry at the kids when they were just trying to play with their dad.
That whole being
And if,
present you're talking about
yeah,
earlier.
right? And I remember even with my dad, like my mom would go, "Girls," and I go, "What?" "Let him get in the door." Because he'd just be coming up the stairs and we're like, "Daddy." And he's like, "Whoa." Right? And so she'd be like, Get, let him get in the door." And so we
Mm.
would.
Now, Adele, you've been known to obviously hold space for others to
Mhm,
really feel comfortable and safe, and especially when it comes to the men that you end up talking to.
mhm.
I don't know how maybe some people find it easy to obviously open up. You must have skills for them to be able to accept that. Is that why you've been called the transition whisperer? And in a way, what does that actually mean, and how does that reflect on your approach?
Um, so a few men this past week have, because I've asked them, right? I go, "Why are you choosing me?" Because I'm like, when my guides told me that this is where I was being drawn to, I'm like, "Why? I don't get it." And so the feedback has been overwhelming, um, in a positive way. One, I do hold the space. There's no judgment. Come and talk to me about anything. I might not know the answer, but I'll find out for you. Um, Two, I'm a straight shooter. Small talk is not my thing. I don't know how to do it. That's what I love about men. They go, "You're being a jerk." "All right. Want a beer?" "Sure." Like, right? Like it's straight up, right? Like I've seen it over and over. Like they'll go and have fist fight brawl, and 5 minutes later they're having a drink. I'm like, how do you guys do that? And but it's straight shooter, and I'm here to hold the space for them to get in touch with their feelings and truly show what's on their heart before the divorce happens, before the suicide happens, before you become an alcoholic or drug addict. Because I've seen them all. You can see it. You're like, your trajectory is going, and they're like, "No, no, I'm fine, I'm fine." Boom, they're gone. It's like, right? And I don't want, and I think part of it too is how many, like, at least two generations have been brought up fatherless. And these men had too many women lovingly in their life that they don't know how to be a man. And I've always attracted gentlemen. I don't attract men. I attract gentlemen who know to open the door. Even if the woman's going to box you, open the door. You're a gentleman.
That also is an environmental issue there, Adele. I mean, obviously, when
Hmm.
you guide people through life changes, maybe it's a job shift or whatever family dynamics that you're talking about there, first of all, if you clean that, isn't there a need for you then to look at what the environment looks like? Because if you work with them singularly on a Zoom or virtually, they're
Mhm.
still going to go back to that particular environment that would have created that situation with them. Maybe it's in their home or within their relationship. Is there anything that you then do to then make it a whole 360? Because they could
So,
clean up with you, but they're still going to go back to the gunk that created them in the first place.
well, and it's interesting you asked that question because I used to say, why do I go for a massage when it's out of my system 10 minutes after walking into my house? Because it's better than not having it, right? So, to back up before I got into the coaching, transition, mentor, or whatever you want to call me today, I used to clear people's homes and offices energetically.
Right.
Then I thought I was getting out of this game altogether. And then I closed that company down, and it's like, no, I still want to stay in the coaching arena, I think. And unbeknownst to all of us, so I started this company in 2019, and then the pandemic hit. But before the pandemic, I was the tour operator. I'm traveling around with 40, 50 people on a bus. They're asking me for coffee. They're asking me for lunch. They're asking me for dinner. And I'm like, oh, you guys are all in transition, whether changing jobs, retirement, going to be grandparents. And I'm like, interesting. Or their mom's going home to die. Right. That was another message for 20 days I got. I'm like, okay, fine. I'll finally say. But it's all been about transition. If I look back at even clearing the houses, like, were they clearing it to save their marriage, to finally get divorced and like just clear so they can go respective different ways and their kids can have a better life with two loving parents that love them and but don't kill each other? Sure, that was fine. Helping businesses, like, well, do you have the right staff in? Do you have like the right departments? Whatever. When I was told to do the coaching, more importantly, the men, is when we shifted into the feminine. And the men at networking said, will you work with us? I said, of course. Why wouldn't I? Most women won't. I go, their loss. Their loss. And so the men are very appreciative that I'm stepping up for them because they're ostracized by the women, because the women are in their masculine. They don't even realize it. They're like, no, we're women. I said, no, you're charging through like a masculine because you're demeaning your husbands trying to do this business. You're using their money to fund your business, but you're telling them they're useless. I said, no, it doesn't work that way, guys. And a lot of times I say to the men, threaten, threaten divorce. See how our tune will change. Because they're going nowhere.
So not
But you
only are you,
also
yeah.
you also can't stay in that dy- dynamic.
So now, obviously, you're doing the coaching side of things, obviously
Mhm.
based on where we are
Mhm.
in like you did mention, there was that shift in the age of Aquarius, which has now come through. Um, but this message is going to need to go far and wide. Is that the reason why you started these authentic conversations?
Mhm. When I was told to start a podcast, I go, What? I go, what are you talking about start a podcast? What the hell is that? Because before I started my podcast, I really didn't listen to them either.
You're going to listen to this one, right?
Well, when you send me the link. Um, and so I said to a couple of friends, I said, want to try a podcast with me? They said, sure. They were crap, but they're up and they've gotten better. Season two is definitely better.
But what have
And
you learned from you having going through this process yourself?
I've learned I have tremendous amounts to share. I hold space for people to share their gifts. And the more importantly, I find really unique people to interview that I want their gifts shared, right? Because when like for a person who did the houses and land and stuff for over 25 years, and um, then I met a guy in Tanzania who does land houses or whatever. I'm like, okay, like I've heard this before. Let's see. He puts me flat on my butt. I'm like, whoa. Like I'm kind of glad I'm like only dabble in this side of the arena now that I've met you. And he goes, why? And I'm like, 'cause like you took what I did and just like shot it off the roof. But am I grateful? That means that I have more to learn and expand and grow with. But if I had never met him, I wouldn't know. I would have been, I'm good in my little box. I can do XYZ. He's just opened my box up into a whole new stratosphere, which is awesome. And it's also meeting people who they never thought of their parents as these strong forces to contend with because it was just mom and dad. And I'm like, but you're who you are because mom was a Trojan horse that never gave up. And they're like, yeah.
Hmm. No, obviously, for those that are watching right now, they're looking to see what is it that they can engage you for and how that is possible. Obviously, you've got those QR codes there. Your services
Yeah.
include one-to-one sessions, group coaching, and you also have 100-day personal transformation that you
That's
take people.
like one on one.
Absolutely.
That
Could, could,
that's a private one on one for
cool.
a
Could you
hundred
just
days.
walk us through that and what it is that people can expect when they obviously start working with you.
Okay, so my one-off session is just like something sticky, but you don't know what it is. You might be thinking new job, not whatever. So it's a one in, fast in, fast out. Then I have my men's group coaching. Um, I'll be starting a class. I don't know when this is airing, but there'll be a class I'll be starting. That's in group process. And if someone really wants my undivided attention and to reach me at any time, I have my 90-day program of individual that they'll have coaching a couple times a month plus access to me at any time for one-off questions.
Absolutely. I will definitely be putting those links in the show notes, or when Adele obviously pops up on the screen, just scan those QR codes that are on her screen there. And yeah,
And
you
and and I also do the energy space clearings if people do that. I'm just not focused on that right now because my guys have told me not to. But like you said, right? How do you go home if the home's still mucked up?
mm,
And it comes back to personal responsibility. I take care of myself. Everything else is a ripple effect. So you throw a rock into the ocean, the rock will do its thing, and the ocean will ripple how it needs to.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, Adele, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, your life story and your experience have so much value, especially for those that are ready to go into the next sort of phase. But this has taken a while, and this has been your journey in the making. And you did say there's moments when you were growing up that you would be having not so much an out of body experience, but you could see your body trailing behind you and things of that nature. And, your soul would have, an advanced experience that your body hasn't caught up to. Is that still
Well,
happening to you, or has that evolved, or have you transitioned into this that you're working on right now?
I think for me, I can still catch myself because I look at it this way. If you're tripping, If you're unaware of where your feet are, if you turn around and you hit somebody in a store, you're not in your body. You have no idea where your space is, right? Because you're kind of like in and out of your space. And um yeah, like people who trip and fall lots or like just have balance issues, they're not in their body. Guarantee it, right? Um and now I'm more aware of it. Like even now, like I'll go from the basement to the upstairs. I'll be like, "Whoa, drunken sailor. Okay, let's ground. Take some breaths. Let's get in your body." And it's just it's not a huge thing. It's just you're kind of getting too fast for where your body is. Like you've just gotten out of bed. Stop running the stairs, right? Like let your body catch up. And sometimes even when you just wake up, this is very key. Before you put your feet on the ground, are all my particles here? Because when our human body is resting, our soul goes and does the work. So everyone has to come home again. So just call everybody in. Are all my particles here? And you'll ground into your body with 3 deep breaths before your feet hit the floor. Make sure everyone's home. And just know you've only heard 1% of this story.
I absolutely appreciate that. Well, with the 1% that we have, I think it's enough for us to run with it. I hope we're not going to trip along the way because we're too fast for our bodies. But also, in the interest of being, forward moving and being ahead, what's next, Adele? What are you working on that we should be excited about now that you've brought us into your world? What should we?
Well, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel or find me on Spotify at Authentic Conversations with Adele or at Transition Clarity, depending on where you're looking. Um, yeah, and if any men are listening and they want to join the program or work with me, I'm honored if you choose me because it would be my greatest joy. And I'm not leaving the women out. You just will be in a different cohort. If you want to come too, that's okay. Because it's a working together in a different way that no one's ever looked at before. And yeah, and I look forward to working with anybody and more possibilities of speaking. So if you're listening to this and you want me on your podcast, give me a call.
Absolutely. Now, I can't thank you enough for sharing your insights and your experiences with us today. And yeah, hopefully people will jump on board to your offers and be obviously willing to really transition into the best version of themselves that possibly is out there. And for those that are watching or listening right now, if you're navigating a transition or just seeking clarity, consider reaching out to Adele through her website or the links that I'm going to be putting in the rest of the show notes here. And if this is the first time you're catching the online prosperity experience, welcome. Hope you did find this episode resonating if you're watching up until right now. And I just want you to stay tuned because in our next episode, we're going to be exploring ideas to cultivate a happier existence. So do not miss that out. And yeah, I can't thank you, Adele, for the time, the space that you shared with us today and holding this conversation because so many people just really need to understand that maybe the reason why they keep hitting brick walls or the reason why things just seem to be stagnant is because they haven't transitioned themselves. And I kind of feel
Well,
like that lighthouse that's at the on your your background there really
yeah.
is apropos to the kind of person that you've become. You are that lighthouse for all the men that need to come back home, and I really
Well, and I
appreciate.
also, if I could just say quickly, I
Yes.
also want people to be gentle with themselves because we are going through huge shifts right now. that
Mm,
are literally putting you into bed. Honor that. Do not push through the do not push to get things done. When it says lights out in the 2 in the afternoon, go lay down
mm,
because your body cannot shift energetically if you're pushing through it. And also, um, the kinder we are to ourselves, the more that will ripple out.
mm.
So just as the old world was get that award, I say reward yourself with a pat on the back, a nap in the afternoon. Just stay with your body, stay grounded, stay present within you, and it
Absolutely.
will get better.
We appreciate that. I appreciate that, Adele. And obviously, if you're still watching up until now, I just want you to remember that every transition is an opportunity for you to rediscover yourself. Bye for now.